Okay, so I'm going to show you guys quickly how to bring in a layered Photoshop file. And, they are, excuse me. If you've worked with Photoshop before, essentially, depending on the complexity of a Photoshop file, but like Photoshop has layers. Adobe Illustrator also has layers. If you guys are ever using a layered Photoshop file or a layered Illustrator file, when you bring that stuff, when you bring any of those files in, you basically are bringing in essentially a composition in and of itself. So one thing that you'll notice, let's say with this layered Photoshop file, and I believe you can find it if you want to work with it as well. It should be City Legacy, which should be Module 4. So you download that. And if you want to, you kind of mess around with this as well. So one thing with like Photoshop, again, you guys can group layers together in these folders, and essentially it's the same process if you were to make a composition, but also a process called pre-comping. So what you can do in After Effects is you could take layers. Let's say you want to take like a preset animation and then bundle them all together. You can bundle them all together in what's called a pre-comp. And you're basically putting a composition inside a composition. So right now we've got our road, our trees. All right, so everything here, everything is nice and layered. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply save as, just in case. And I'm just going to go, City, Legacy, Layers. Yeah. So I'm just going to hit save. All right, and here we go. All right, so now I'm going to minimize that. I don't really think I need to. I'll just quit that. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new composition because I think I'm going to do a little bit of pre-comping here. Press OK. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import. Now remember, you can right-click Import window inside the project window, or you can go into File, Import, File. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, let's see, let's get out of here. There we go, City Legacy Layers. All right, so I'm going to select my Photoshop file. Now, it's important that when you guys do this process, if you're doing, make sure the extension is PSD, Photoshop, or AI, Adobe Illustrator. And when you select it, you want to make sure, okay, so format is Photoshop. Now, if I were to import this as footage, it's going to flatten it. I don't want to flatten it. I want to keep and preserve the layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go import as, composition, retain layer sizes. Okay? So I'm going to click on that. I don't think I necessarily need to click on create a composition because I think it's going to pretty much bring in everything else in. Now, pay attention to when I bring everything in. All right? So I'm going to hit open. Okay, so it's asking me, basically it's asking me, are you sure? I'm import kind. Yes, I want composition, retain layer sizes, editable layer styles. Okay, you want to make sure that that is checked and it's retain layer sizes. Press OK. Okay, so now what that did is it brought in its own composition. Okay, so I'm actually going to bring that into the one that I already made. So this is essentially what's called, this process is called pre-comping. And essentially what pre-comping is you're basically bundling everything together, bundling layers together so you can, essentially create a much more organized workflow for yourself. Okay, so what happens here? Well, basically this is almost kind of like, its own little video, but as you can see, nothing's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click inside and then watch here. So I'm going to click inside, and then what that did is it opened up this comp right here. So again, this could get a little complicated depending as to how many objects you want to put in here. But as you guys can see, the road, everything now is essentially in its own layers. Why? Because when we had it in Photoshop, everything in that was essentially in its own layers. So you want to always make sure, let me show you, there's always this correlation. So these folders, when you group something together in Photoshop like this, it basically reads in After Effects as essentially a composition, if that makes any sense. So now, what I can do is everything in here, and if I really kind of want to get into like the nitty-gritty details, so let's say I want to go into like the road. So now I'm basically inside the road where we have two layers, the lines of the road and the road itself, if that makes any sense. So if you guys are working on like anything like this, just always be aware, you can make this as organized or as complicated as you need it to be. But for the sake of what I'm doing right now, let's say I want to animate everything, like all these elements. Let's say I want everything to kind of like pop up. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to have the road start first, and I'm actually going to have the trees come in second. Okay, and the clouds I might just do something a little different with these. So I'm actually going to hide those right now, and I'm going to hide the sun and keep the sky. All right, so also be aware that where everything is here is basically, it's like Photoshop. Anything that's basically goes over something in layers is going to go over something in your composition, especially when you're in 2D mode like this. So, and we'll get more into like 3D, like about maybe a week or two later from here, because again, this can get really, really, like, you can do 3D work in After Effects. It can get really wild, but I don't want to break anybody's minds right now. So, with the city, I'm actually going to, maybe just kind of keep it. Actually, I'm just going to move that. And the trees, I might actually just move that as well. So, again, this is where using something like the marker can be very, very useful. And again, the more organized you are with your workflow, I'm going to click on that. Boom, we got markers. So now I'm actually going to call this one trees. And why? Because, let me show you that. And let's say I want the animation for the trees to kind of have a certain, like a certain duration. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to give it maybe about a full second. Okay, and what I did was time. So what you see here in this composition marker, this is telling me exactly where the marker is, and I can actually adjust it, make it exactly 2 seconds inside the timeline. Duration is 1. Comment is trees, because it's for my own benefit, so I know what I'm looking at. And now I'm going to go down here, protected region. Okay, so I have all these things. So it's going to be green and a protected region, and it's going to have a duration, which means it's going to not just be a marker, but it's going to be a bracket. So let me show you. So I click on OK. So now, as you guys can see this nice little highlight here inside the timeline? This is giving me a visual idea as to what I need to do. So in this part of, if you visualize your timeline, these tools help you. It will help you a lot to kind of organize. You'd be surprised how much structure there is in doing something like an animation or doing something like motion graphics. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way back here. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to click on a marker. Remember, the marker's right here, very unassuming. Just double click on that, and I'm going to call this road. Okay, and I'm going to kind of maybe label this like an orange, and I'm also going to give this maybe a 1 second and 10 frames. So it's not just, there we go, and protected region. And I'm going to press OK. Now these markers don't do anything to the animation. They are for your benefit of organizing where you want to put your keyframes and where you want to organize your timeline. All right, so I hit road. So what I'm going to do now with the road is I am going to maybe do like a nice little quick pop-up. Like I'm going to have the road just kind of like pop up. And I am going to I'm going to take this right here. This is the anchor point, and the anchor point is pertaining to this pre-comp right here, this layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way over here to the pan behind tool, which is also known as the anchor point tool. And what that does is, let me show you. By clicking on this, it looks like a little broken square. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this tool over to this anchor point, and I'm going to drag the anchor point here. Why am I doing that, you ask? Because basically all activity in a layer revolves around the anchor point. Okay, so if I want something to shrink in size and expand, it's going to use this as almost like its point of origin, if you will. All right, so that having been done, because, well, let me just show you if I just bring this back up to here in the center. All right, and I'm just going to quickly show you if I were to scale this, see how it's essentially, it's just basically just going over, it's shrinking down to the center, that's the point of origin. That's why always be aware of where your anchor point is. If your animation is funny like that, anchor point. All right, so let's see. I'm going to shrink this. So what I actually want to do is I wanted to not just shrink, I actually wanted to kind of like expand from both sides, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the scale, okay, and I'm actually going to click on 100, and as you could see, it made a keyframe. So since I'm here using the marker that I just made, I can see where I want my animation to begin and end. So I'm basically taking my keyframe. By the way, guys, a little trick. If you want your keyframes to snap or anything to snap, hold down the Shift key. See that? And it will snap to whatever elements you need it to be. So what I'm going to do, instead of having the road just kind of like, just like shrink from here, I am actually going to have it expand. So I'm going to do that by removing the constraint here. So what this does, because scale actually has two elements here, the X and the Y. What we want to do is we just want the X, okay? I'm not going to touch the Y. So this is the X, this is the Y. I'm going to touch this, but every time I do that, see this? It takes the Y kind of has to follow suit. So by unlinking this, now, as you can see, I also have to kind of adjust these here, which I will do. I'm going to bring this all the way down to 0. All right. It's a little slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it really fast by bringing the two keyframes together. And that's how you make things fast, guys. Speeding things up, traditionally what you want is your keyframes, the distance between the keyframes is going to dictate how fast or slow your animation is. Simple as that. All right, and I'm also going to give it a little bit of an easy ease. And as you can see, it goes, when you add easy ease, again, they go from diamonds to hourglasses. And I'm also going to go in to the graph editor, and I'm going to kind of just adjust. And also, using my navigator, I can get really into there, the magnifying glass of the timeline. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right. Okay. And let's say, also, while I'm doing this, see, I have this little road marker thing here that's absolutely hurts my eyes. So what I want to do is, actually I'm going to go into the road itself, and I can definitely see that this and this, the lines they're not the same length. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to go into the road, and I'm going to go into the road layer. So what I did, guys, I basically double clicked on this pre-comp, okay, and now I'm inside the road. So basically, a comp is a cluster of layers essentially, so, or a container, if you will. So when you pre-comp, you're basically bundling up layers that you want to have some sorts of independence from each other. So, and again, if I'm going way too fast, just let me know. All right, so where was I? Oh yes, road. Okay, so what I want to do is actually I want to adjust the road, the scale, and I'm actually going to adjust it here. There we go, and I'm going to reinstate. There we go. So now it's constrained. So now, there we go. So basically, whatever you guys go into a pre-comp and make updates, it will basically update all throughout the rest of your project. Does that make sense, guys? All right. So now what I did now is like I made it. Okay, it's a little bit big, and that's fine. You're not, we don't. It's a road. It's not, anything particular. Okay. So, and now what I'm going to do is like I established. Boom, the road. Now, what I want to do is now we got the trees, and they just pop out of nowhere. So I'm going to actually pull the city. There we go. Pulling the city back, and let's see. We want the trees, and we could do several different things with the trees. I can go in, or I could just make them just appear, maybe just like have them just like pop up from below. So that's one way we can go about it.
How challenging would it be to have to like come in but like kind of wave, you know what I mean, like a little like wavy effect? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I mean I would know what to do. So it's not challenging. It's just a lot of moving parts. So always be aware of that. And listen, the reason why I'm hoping that you guys you'll be able to kind of like. I don't expect you guys to kind of get to this level by the end of the summer. It's only 8 weeks. I want you guys to see I can have fun with this. Hopefully you guys get into that headspace. What I could do, there's several different things that you can do to answer your question. Normally what I would do for this class is I would just again just take the tree layer, bring it down here. And I would just because it's just easier for me to kind of use, I want to just bring the anchor point down here, and then I would just have them just sprout up. What I can also do is, you can add like a wiggle effect too, if you want to. So why don't we do that too? Let's see. Maybe we can do a little bit of like a wave warp. I think it is wave warp. Wave warp, yes. So let's try wave warp. All right, so as you can see, a wave warp is an effect that kind of like gives you like a little bit of an animation. Now, I'm actually going to hide that city for right now because I want to sort of make it look like, because right now it's waving from side to side. So when I go in here, so every time you guys use an effect, okay, you'll notice you have your project tab right here, and then you have your effects controls. So, being inside the trees layer, this is right now, by creating this effect, I'm just going to delete it, and I'm just going to bring it back in. So I can just drag it into the layer like this, and then boom, it's right here. So these are the controls for your effect. So what you also have to be aware of too is that whenever you add an effect, it puts the input, because you can key the intensity and specifics of an effect as well. Anything that has essentially like a stopwatch icon, you can key. You can key the properties of that effect. So right now it's side to side. We want to have it going up and down. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the direction to 0, and the width, I can make it crazy like that, by making the width, so imagine it as like if I were to make the width really small, it's going to be, you can also quickly just do like a reset of values. So the smaller it is, the more tighter the waves are going to be, depending if that's what you want. I think that kind of that looks more like a dream sequence to me. I would probably want to make it a little bit larger, like maybe 40. No, maybe 80. Yeah, so okay, so it has more like a kind of like it's like curving its way up. So, and the height. So I'm not going to have it too much. I want to give it maybe, again, guys, less is more. So yeah, we got the sign pattern, which is this is what this is. I've never really had to use, yeah, just do the sign, the default. And the wave speed is 1 second to do a complete wave warp. So I'm actually going to bring it to make it quicker. So let's see. All right, and pinning. I'm going to have pinning be at the bottom edge. So essentially, what that does is it means that the wave warp will basically start from 0, and then it basically kind of works its way up. So, there we go, more or less. All right. So now what I'm going to do is now I got my wave warp coming in, and what I'm going to do is when it comes to here, so this is where I'm going to start to, because I'm going to want it to discontinue. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring the wave warp. It's going to start off. It's going to start off with the speed, height, and width. I'm going to key here, and then I'm going to just basically bring it all the way down, and I'm going to essentially just kind of bring the width down to. Let's see. Actually, no, I want it to be, yeah, there we go. I want it to be really, really wide. As a matter of fact, because I could probably make this around 300, and it would still, and the wave height, actually bring that down to probably 1. I don't really think this is going to, I mean, you could kind of almost like, because I'm thinking like, maybe at the end, the trees are still kind of alive, like bouncing. So what I'm doing is they're going to start off maybe like really, really fast. So that's really, really fast, like whoosh. All right, so what I might do is I just might actually just drag these out just a little bit beyond that. And you could also, when it comes to markers, you can just drag that marker, unless you can lock it, but if they're unlocked, you can also make adjustments as you see fit. So they're not married to that place, essentially. You can kind of adjust it, do what you need to do. The reason why I like to use the markers is that, again, helps me visualize. So I'm going to go into my trees layer, and I'm going to hit transform, and I'm going to, let's see, bring it, yeah, so the position is going to be here, and then I'm going to have it look like, yeah, I'm going to bring it down. So let's see. Like that. So let's also kind of spread it out just a little bit. And again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to just select. There we go. And again, whenever you guys go into pre-comps, all your comps are basically here. You just got to figure out the one where you're working on. Okay, so if you're not working on the road right now, I'm just going to close that. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, not too bad. It's a little too much too quick. I want, there we go. There we go, that's nice. All right, subtle. Okay, and so again, using these layers and then just kind of like having fun with them. But again, if you guys are working on what you guys can even do for, even with your final, if you guys just kind of want to like plan everything out in Photoshop, you know, and then just kind of like bring it into After Effects and then just animate layers that way. One of my students, what she did, she basically like redid, I think there might be an example of it that I have up on Canvas. She essentially redid Harry Potter. So she drew everything on her Procreate. So I don't know if you guys know what Procreate is, it's on iPad. She basically drew a lot of elements, she added some stuff that she found, and she basically like layered everything. So she laid everything out in Photoshop first, and that's kind of how she essentially storyboarded it. And then she basically brought the Photoshop files in and then just started to animate the elements and assets that she saw fit. So you guys can do it any way you want. There's so many different ways you can go about it. You know, the city, what I would probably do is, let's see, and I'm actually gonna bring the clouds behind the city. The city, what you could probably do is you could probably go in, and I would probably just, you know, I'm probably gonna have them all maybe kind of like spring up from the, like almost like in the sequence. So what you could do is, let's see, let's try. Oh, another little trick you guys can do too is if you have things in a specific sequence. So this would work from like bottom to, you know, from the bottom layer up. You could select these. You can go into animation and keyframe assistant, sequence layers, and let's try this. Let's do overlap. You don't need to worry about that. And hit OK. And what that did, which silly me, what I forgot to do is keyframe assistant, sequence layers, and actually probably not have overlap. Press OK. And what did I just do there? All right. So, oh, that's what I forgot to do. Silly me. All right. Select everything. Drag everything here. About 2 seconds. Yeah, that should work. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into animation, keyframe assistant, sequence layers. Maybe do a little, I'm not going to do overlap. I'm just going to hit OK. Okay, so now what that basically did is, you know, we have a little bit of something going on here. So it did not happen the way I wanted. Oh well. But you can quickly, I'm just quickly just busting this and then having everything kind of snap. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everything almost like this little cool sequence where everything is just, you know, just like the buildings are just like springing up from like almost like a nice little choreographed, like, sorry, the sound effects are free, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm actually going to make this a little bit longer for right now because I want to basically get that end right there. All right. So I'm actually going to select, and now that they're all selected, I can kind of just shrink them a little bit. Actually, I'm going to just do it even better. There we go. And again, guys, you know, sometimes, you know, you kind of have to do all this little, you know, a little bit of choreographing, depending on how fancy you want to make everything. And I'm recording this, so. But again, you know, like when you guys are, you know, hopefully, if you guys want to get into this, you know, motion graphics is not exclusively After Effects, although it is a huge part of this industry. if you will. But you can mess around. You can use like different like different imagery. You know, just whatever you guys want to use. Trim contour work area. And now here we go. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. And this is what I call blocking everything in. Oh, something happened there. Ooh, what is going on? Okay, so here's another little trick, guys. We got a little bit of an issue here, but rather than me trying to kind of like go back into, I could go back into Photoshop, but I'm not really going to. I'm just going to go in and make the correction here. I'm just going to create a quick mask. So this is where I feel like masks inside the layers, this is where it's useful. So I'm just going to quickly use the rectangle tool. All right, I'm just going to draw over this shape, and I'm going to quickly hit subtract. Perfect. So basically this layer right here, by adding that mask, this weird bizarre element, I don't know if you guys could see it, but when there was something that was there that should not have been there. So I just basically hit subtract, and I think, yeah, that it's like you can't really see it, but it's like I'm very particular. I'm like I don't like X factors that I don't like in my situation. All right, so let's see. Everything seems to kind of nice. Yeah, awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick position, and I'm going to bring it down, and I'm also going to quickly go in and I'm going to select. Let's take a look. There we go. So now, if I can do this right, let's see how well this would work. Copy, and I'm going to go into everything else, and I'm going to also, to quickly access, P for position, paste. All right, so I'm going to just do that real fast, and same thing here, P for position, a little quick paste. Ooh, shucks. All right, did not happen the way, yeah, they're overlapping. Oh, that's right. Dang. All right, that's fine. That is fine. I tried. All right, so what I'm just going to have to do is, again, oh. So again, I think you guys are pretty much getting the gist of how to kind of go about this, but it's like you can really kind of create like a lot of like fun like infographics, things like that. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of like design elements and animations. If you guys watch a lot of YouTube content, especially now, a lot of it uses infographics, and it's a proven science is that people learn more through visual demonstration. Hence why I'm basically recording this. So you guys are learning a lot more. Hopefully, you guys are learning a lot more from this by by me working on it and then showing you guys how it's done and recording it. So that one's going to be a little tricky. But yeah, right now what I'm doing is I'm essentially blocking in the animation. Now I'm kind of doing it without right now without the benefits of the comp marker. But when you guys are doing something like the lyric video, using the comp marker, these tools right here, because again, you guys are going to have to bring stuff in, like you guys are going to bring in music. You guys are going to have a waveform, and also you guys are going to be essentially listening for the singer to sing specific songs. And what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to kind of basically have the word match up. You guys have seen lyric videos before, right? So you guys know that the better ones are always where the song, the word basically matches when the singer's singing specific lyrics in the song. So to kind of visualize that on your timeline, this is where it's going to be, these using markers, especially in this manner, is where it's going to be extremely useful. But as you guys can see, the more I'm making changes in this city layer, now here at the finished product, it's basically updating. So this is where when you guys are using certain specific aspects of like a certain workflow like this, it becomes a lot more, you'll start to see it becomes, it helps to be organized. Make sense, guys? You guys still with me? Yeah. All right, cool. So if you guys want to, and you guys, again, this isn't a graded assignment. I want you guys to go from moving a corgi around to maybe taking the Photoshop file of the city, bringing it in, start to kind of work on this, start to understand how to kind of key something in a bit of a sequence. All right?
Are you gonna send did you record this?
I am recording it. See that little red dot right there? Yes, yes, it means it's recording. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to pause it for right now. And can I pause? I'm just going to stop it right now.